Welcome, friends. We're so glad to see you here for another STEAM time. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff today about Fiero coding. My name is Lisa. I'm with the Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library, and I'm joined today by Mr. Daniel, who's going to be telling us all about this topic. If you have any problems during the program, any technical difficulties, just try logging it out and logging back in. It should let you back in without a problem, but just in case not, it will be recorded and saved to our YouTube channel later. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my friend Daniel and let him tell us all about our topic.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm also with Tampa Hillsborough Public Library, and today we're going to talk about one of our very new resources, which is Fiero, and how you can learn coding using it. So let's start off with what is coding? What is coding? So of course, code is a language that computers can understand. It's a programming language. And coding is just writing instructions for the computer to follow in a programming language. Programs, apps, websites, everything you view on the internet, on your computer, on a tablet or a phone, it's all made of code. And this makes coding a really useful skill, both now and into the future. You know, going into the future, I thought we might have a look at what the most in-demand programming languages are for this year. And you can see here it's JavaScript, Python, HTML, CSS, Java, and SQL. That information comes from UC Berkeley extension. And then which programming languages can you learn with Fiero? Which ones do they cover? It's the exact same ones. So all the big popular languages are there, languages that you can use to write apps, that games are written in, that websites are still written in. You can find it all there. And one of the great things about learning coding is that it's a skill that you don't need to get formal qualifications for. It's something you can teach yourself. So it's like a really good way to get ahead, and a really good way, you know, really good skill for kids to have into the future as well. All right, so for accessing Fiero, it's very simple. Just go to our website, which is of course hcplc.org. I'm sure you already know the way since you're here, but make sure you've got that one bookmarked. And then just click on the Learning and Research tab in the top. You can see it there in green. Okay, and then right now it's our featured resource, so you can see it right there and click on it right away. You can also find it under Resources A to Z, under Fiero, and under Resources A to Z, there's a list of topics, so you can find it under coding or technology there. Okay, from there you'll be prompted to sign in to your Fiero account. Like almost everything in our lives these days online, you need to have your own username and password for Fiero. So first time you won't have one, so you're going to want to go ahead and sign up down at the bottom. And then the first time you access it, if you're outside the library, it's going to ask you what library or school do you attend or is closest to you. And you can click there and select our library. Okay, and then this is what it looks like. It's a very user-friendly interface with a bunch of features there. We have a very cool customization feature. You know, a lot of sort of teach yourself to code websites like Code Academy and that sort of thing. They might have all the information there, but they're a little bit boring. So it's good to, you know, have some unlocks here, some customization for your avatar. You can have a look at that a bit more later. So when you come into it, it's going to drop you on the Home tab, and from there we also have a Gear tab for customizing your avatar, Workouts, which is where you learn to code, Missions, which is some extra coding challenges, some more creative challenges, And then there's the create section, which is like a free play section. And it does have like some social collaborative elements as well in the friends section if you choose to, and a portfolio so that anything unique you make outside the lessons, it's also safe. Okay, yeah, so this is some of our customizations and unlocks. You can see you take a lesson in a programming language or in one of their other topics related to coding. For example, here, HTML1, and you get that spiffy shirt with a star on it. So, you know, it gives you like a little bit of motivation to keep going. Okay, so here's the first JavaScript lesson. And you can see it has a video that goes along with it. We have this fun little through story with our robot friends, and you're a superhero battling some supervillains. And they all have subtitles as well, which is nice.
Especially because sometimes my earbuds don't work, so it's nice to be able to read it on the screen.
Or maybe you're playing some music, like a pro coder. So you can see here, straight from the video, we have a little console at the bottom, and we can enter our code into that. And this JavaScript lesson is showing you how to pop up a little dialog box. If you see that one, let's learn to code at the library. Okay. Yep, we've got a tab for the HTML, a tab for the JavaScript, and there's a tab for the CSS as well. And it'll work straight away, pops up in your browser.
But it will show us how to get to that point. It's not going to expect us to know that already when we start.
No, that's right. You're following along. So in the video, it demonstrates that how to make that little dialog box, and then you can make it for yourself. So this is sort of the other features, the challenges, the make, the portfolio. These are more creative projects. So once you feel confident, or if you feel like experimenting with Fiero, you can like hop into some challenges. I saw there's one there, make a website describing an animal, one to make a website for a zoo. So you get like a little challenge and you can try out what you've learned, refer back to the lessons, and you know, then this is something practical that you could even copy and paste onto like Google sites and make your own website that way.
And don't forget, if you have any questions as we go along here, make sure you type those into the question box so that we can answer them when we're through this section.
Okay, so that's pretty much the rundown. So like some other great resources we have at the library, we have this Kids Get Coding series, which has all sorts of aspects of coding and programming, from learning to program, bugs and fixes, coding in the real world. There's a bunch more as well. And they explain the concepts in a way that's easy for kids to understand and easy for them to try for themselves, which is one of the great things about learning to code is you can look at things and then try it for yourself. And also, as Lisa pointed out in the chat, make sure you click that Hoopla digital list and see even more resources about coding for all ages, because there's nothing stopping, there's no library rules stopping adults from trying out Fiero as well.
You know, one of the things that I like about Fiero is it's something that is convenient for me. So I'm an oldie who's long past school age, but coding wasn't really a thing that was around when I was in school. So I'm coming to it later as a grown up, and I think Fiero Code's actually a really good starting point for those of us who might really want to be able to wrap our heads around how coding works. So, if there's parents watching, this might be a really good way to get your feet wet on coding yourself before you get to some of the more advanced classes that you might be able to do through like LinkedIn Learning or one of our other library resources that are geared a little bit more towards adults. So this is a great one, I think, for parents and kids to work on together. All right, make sure you get those questions into that question box. We would love to be able to answer them while we're live. That way, the whole audience has the chance to benefit from hearing your questions. So don't be shy, get those typed in there. Okay, so we have a question about what is the link for Fiero. So I'm going to go back to the screen where we showed that. Bear with me here, it's back here. All right, so on the library website, if you go to hcplc.org, that's the library website, at the top of the page, it'll say Learning and Research. And if you click on there, it's going to show you this screen here. So right now, there's a shortcut listed on that page where Fiero is our featured resource. But if you ever want to look for any of our resources after they're not on the featured page anymore, they're always going to be alphabetically here in the resources A to Z. So you just have to know what the name of the resource is, and you click on that resources A to Z, scroll down to that part of the alphabet, and it'll be right there. So you never have to really guess too much about where it's going to be hidden. So if you know the name, you can get right to it. And okay, so there was someone else asking about the Hoopla digital list. So I'm going to copy paste that right into the question box. All right, let's see if we have any more questions coming in. All right, I think that's it for the questions, but you still have some time, so go ahead and type them in if you think of anything last minute. I'm going to put our contact information up on the screen here. You can also reach us anytime at hcplc.org/contact. That page has all of our contact information on there, so you can get us by text message, by the Ask a Librarian chat feature, by email, by phone. All of that's going to be on our contact page there. But also, we always love to hear your library stories. So if you use any of our fun library resources, or if you're in one of our branches and you see something cool and take a picture of it, send that to us. We always love to hear about the fun stuff that you're doing. We love to feature that on our social media. So if you think of anything while you're having fun with library stuff, hcplc.org/stories. Looks like we have another question here about the program. Let me see if I can pull that up here. If there's a screen that said start the adventure, do I press it? This is when you're in the registration part of it, getting yourself set up on Fiero Code. So yes, you do want to start that adventure. This is not like the Matrix where that's a bad choice or a difficult choice. It's all code, but it's a fun one. We know Kung Fu.
And it's a great time to start it as well.
It really is. All right, we'll give it another minute here if any other questions come in. Mr. Daniel, is there anything else you think that we need to know about getting started with coding?
No, I would just say that sometimes you might think, oh, is it worth me like learning this language, like learning Python now or learning CSS now? Like, say if you're, 10 or 12 years old, you might think, well, by the time I finish learning this, it's going to be old fashioned and nobody will be using it. But in my experience, that has not been the case. Like, the HTML that I learned when I was a kid, I found myself using earlier this year, and it was pretty much the same, just with more bonus features that weren't there before. And you
I
know,
think
this,
that's really true. That the bones and the structure of that language will still be there with future iterations. Even between the coding languages, you'll see a good bit of overlap. And I think what's important is, especially when you're first getting started and you're getting your brain used to learning how to think with that language more than learning the language itself. So if you can get practice learning any of these, it'll make it easier to learn different ones in the future if you do decide to learn a different coding language when you're older, or if you go for a different career that might use a different one. But I think they're all useful, even if you don't use it in everyday life down the road. I think it's a really good foundation to have for pretty much any career field. And like we said, it's a really nice one. This is the one skill that you can really use in the future that doesn't involve student loans. So.
and it's great information, like from the source, from you know, from people who are working in programming, in the app as well. So you know, you can also get your
That's
questions answered
true.
there.
The app has lots of goodies in there. If you really take time to click through it and check it out, there's a lot of really great hidden gems in there for all ages, I think. So, well, I think that does us. I think we have all of our questions answered there. Like I said, if you think of anything later, throw that in the survey and we'll get back to you afterwards by email and let you know what the answer is to that, or anytime on our Ask a Librarian feature. So it was so good seeing you, friends. Thank you again for joining us, Mr. Daniel. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, friends.